Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
And this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to you live. Not like any other time where we record on Friday, airs on Sunday, but we're doing it live. And we got a couple of things on Facebook, too. Remember, you can visit Facebook. Go to Open Tax Resolution. You can go to ChicagoTaxTeam.com. You can give him a call at 312-664-6649. There's many ways to get a hold of attorney Stephen Leahy.
Well, let's do the intro for the blog.
That's
and then
right.
And then we got something different.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Okay.
And this week, the blog segment's going to be a good one because
we have a call.
That's right.
And it's from Ari, and he's got a question about being an independent contractor. And this is right up my alley. So what's your question there, Ari?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling because I'm a college student, and I support myself. I have my own house and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So about a year and a half ago, I started working for Uber. And when I did my taxes last year, it had only been 6 months, and I did it on turbotaxes. But the lady who helped me said that now that I'm an independent contractor, I need to be making quarterly payments to the IRS, but that because that was my first year working as a 1099 situation, that it wasn't really important for the first year, but that I should have been doing it all of this year. So I wanted to know if that's true, and do I need to be making quarterly payments?
Well, that is a good question. And Uber's all over the place now, right? And all Uber employees are 1099 employees or independent contractors. So what that means is they don't take any taxes out of your paycheck. So they give you all the money, and then you're supposed to pay your income taxes. Usually an employer takes your federal income taxes, they take Social Security tax, they take Medicare tax, and then they match some of that, and then they send that to the IRS on your behalf. When you're an independent contractor, that doesn't happen. So you're supposed to, now here's where the quarterly part comes in. Because they don't take taxes out of your paycheck, and when the employer does that, they send it in every 2 weeks or every month, sometimes every quarter, but generally it's every 2 weeks or every month. And then the IRS is getting that money regularly. When you're not on their payroll, right, they're not getting that money. And one of the problems we talk a lot about on this show is what we call the cascading tax problem. And that's when next year is going to come and you're going to file your tax return and you're not going to have the money to pay them because you haven't been making payments, and so you're going to get a big tax bill, and you're not going to have the money to pay them. And this is what we call the cascading tax problem. And to avoid that, you're supposed to pay quarterly. So, for instance, if my taxes were going to be $4,000 last year, I'm supposed to, and when I file my tax return, you get a voucher. And the voucher is attached to your tax return. And then every 3 months, I'm supposed to pay 25% of what my annual taxes were last year. So again, in my example, if it was $4,000 every quarter, I'm supposed to send $1,000 to the IRS. And so the next year when my taxes come due, I've already paid my taxes. Now, I might owe something because maybe I make more money than I did last year. And if I made more money than last year, then there's going to be an amount due. And then the next year, I'll base my next quarterly payments on that year's tax return. So, and that's where people but here's the problem too. Not only are you going to have to pay quarterly taxes, but you're going to have to pay what they call a self-employment tax. And that goes with Social Security and Medicare. So you pay more taxes as an independent contractor than you do as an employee because your employer is not matching your contributions to Social Security and Medicare. So that's where that whole independent contractor thing comes in. What I suggest, and we talk about Tom Sadeka from Precision Payroll,
Precision
is
Payroll.
that when you're doing this on a regular basis, it makes sense to maybe start your own little company and then put yourself on a payroll plan and take taxes out regularly that way. You can decrease your tax obligation and cover all your bases. Then you get more deductions too because you're a business.
Well, you know how hard that is too. I know how it is. You're sitting there and you're making your own money. You're an independent contractor, and all of a sudden you're like, oh well, why would I pay somebody else? Why would I do this and that? And because you get out of this mess. You stay away from this mess.
So I don't know if you haven't been. You haven't put any money away for your tax return? Have you?
No, I put away $1,600 a month, but I haven't paid the IRS.
Well, that makes sense, and so you're probably not going to get. They can cite you for penalties, but they usually won't the first year. And so, as long as you're putting money away, when you file your tax return next year and you have the money to pay it, you'll be okay. And then you'll have a better idea what your yearly income is going to be, and then you should start making quarterly payments. Or, as I mentioned, start your own company. This, you could do a subchapter S, and it gets complicated. I don't want to get into
I end up making with the Uber about $50,000 a year. Do you think it's worth it to make myself a business at that income level?
The answer it is, yeah, I think it does. Even though it doesn't sound like it would be, but again, you get more deductions, and you get you're also putting into Social Security more, and in the end, you might pay less taxes. And of course, obviously, you want to make more money than $50,000, right? So you hope that it goes up, and so that if it goes up, you're covered. And then maybe but there's something I could talk to you about how that all works. And if you want to talk to me about it off the air, I'd be happy to do that. Just give us a call at 312-664-6649. Tell Bonnie you called me on the air, and then she'll set up a time for us to talk, and we can kind of go into this more about why it might be a good idea, or maybe it's not a good idea. But it usually is, even no matter what your income level is, it generally makes sense to start. It doesn't really cost that much. And again, Tom Sadeka, he's been on our show before, and he does this precision payroll. He's got a lot of single one-member companies that he does this for, and it makes a lot of financial sense.
Yeah, I mean, why would you go through that mess? Again,
right. And I met him at a Joe Walsh event. He's very nice. Okay, I will call. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much for the call. That was a good call.
That's right. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call. Do you have the number there, Attorney Leahy?
It's 312-642-5600.
Look at him. He's answering without even going through
Jake quizzed me on it. He thought he didn't remember
You've been pushing this for like the past 2 weeks. It's amazing. It's been amazing.
So again, if you have one of those questions like that was a good question, Ari. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you very much, Ari.
And so if you have a question, call us at 312-642-5600, and we'll answer your question. That was my blog segment, and we're going to have the listener question. The next segment, we're going to talk about IRS saga, but I prefer to answer your question. So if you call, we'll skip the IRS saga, and I'll answer your question.
Right. Because then that means next week the saga is going to be even better.
That's right.
So yeah, just feel free, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, there's no point of sitting behind. Why let this cascading tax issue overwhelm you?
What was my blog segment last month? Last week was the
you don't think
IRS,
I pay attention.
The IRS, the vicious IRS circle, and that's because when you owe people, you owe the IRS at the end of the year, and then you ask. Oh no, that's what I wanted to talk about too. Because remember, October 15th coming up. If you've asked for an extension to the IRS, that October 15th is your deadline. You don't get forever to file your tax return. It comes due again October 15th. Everybody remembers April 15th because it's all over the news and everybody's talking about it and everybody remembers.
And then McDonald's had those cheeseburger days. Those are awesome. Yeah, I wish they still had those.
I agree with that. But again, when you ask for an extension, that tax return comes due October 15th. So if you haven't done your tax return yet and you've asked for an extension and you need someone to help you, you should call us at 312-664-6649, because not only do I help people with tax problems, I want to help people avoid tax problems.
That's right. And it's just so because everybody gets into that problem where just because you think, oh, well, for October 15th, for example, I filed the extension. Then next thing you know, April 15th comes around pretty quick.
It does.
It comes unless
and then you haven't filed, and then so I can't tell you how many people come to see me and they haven't filed for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and they say, "Well, every year I filed an extension." Well, the extension only gets you to October 15th. It doesn't help you if you file an extension and then you don't file your tax return. You're gonna get penalized. So file that return.
Why give them more money than they? How much is the IRS budget? It's like $1 billion or something like that.
Yeah,
it's
like
more than that. Over $1 billion. Why give them more money, ladies and gentlemen? Because they're just gonna. Why pay the fees?
Let's do this properly. $13 billion.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm like $12 billion off. That's ridiculous. And you know what else is ridiculous? Is having these issues because everybody has them. Give Attorney Leahy a call. He's going to help you. 312-664 888-866-49 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. That's going to be your hub, your central website to help fight the IRS. Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because we still got a great show lined up for you. We're coming at you live. We're going to answer all your phone calls. So just stay tuned because after the commercial break, more IRS radio hours coming right at you here on AM 560.
The Answer.